Former President Donald Trump has lost the sexual battery and defamation lawsuit, which he is appealing, while more cases, both civil and criminal, are looming. If he gets criminally convicted and sentenced, will he be granted a pardon? If he is, who will make that decision? Which crimes can be pardoned? It's a historic issue, and the answers are a bit complicated. Kim Welly, a professor of administrative and constitutional law at the University of Baltimore, has written a book entitled How the Pardon Power Works and Why, to explore the subject. Who signs the pardon depends on where the charges are brought, state or federal. Each jurisdiction has its own judicial authority, and the pardon decision naturally comes from the governing authority of that jurisdiction. Presidential pardons can only exempt federal judicial charges and do not cover state and local judicial cases. Each state has its own pardon provisions and models. Some are granted by the governor, while others are not. Trump faces two major criminal investigations in New York and Georgia. The Manhattan District Attorney has filed 34 counts of business record fraud. If he is to be pardoned, the order must be issued by the governor of New York. On May 4th, Trump's lawyers requested to transfer this case to a federal court, presumably because obtaining a pardon from the Democratic Governor Kathy Hochul would be highly unlikely. The recent sexual abuse and defamation lawsuit Trump lost was transferred from a New York state court to a federal court for trial. The Fulton County prosecutor in Georgia has nearly completed the investigation into Trump's interference in the 2020 election and is expected to announce a decision whether to file charges soon. To obtain a pardon in Georgia, Trump would need to apply to a 5-member Georgia Pardon Board appointed by the governor. Although the current governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, is a Republican, he is not supportive of Trump. Furthermore, applying for a pardon has specific requirements. The applicant must have been charged and convicted, and it must be at least 5 years after the sentencing. Trump faces several federal criminal investigations involving mishandling secret documents, financial misconduct for his social media platform, the January 6th attack of U.S. Capitol, and political fundraising frauds, which are being supervised by Special Prosecutor Jack Smith appointed by the Department of Justice. If convicted, whether a presidential pardon would, more aptly, should be granted would subject the current Democratic President Biden to pressures from both the left and the right, given how divided and polarized the voters are. About half of the nation believes that Trump has committed illegal acts. Biden has already announced his intention to run for re-election, so any decision he makes carries significant political risks. The only historical precedent in history is when Nixon, during the Watergate scandal, was forced to resign and received a preemptive pardon from his successor, President Ford, before Nixon's imminent prosecution. Ford told the nation that the trial of Nixon would take more than a year of preparation, and the social impact on the nation would be irreparable. Some point out that the trial of Trump would also cause a huge impact, especially considering that he is currently the frontrunner for the Republican nomination in the next election. Just recently, Trump boasted that he is being sheltered by congressional Republicans, and therefore he is much better off than Nixon, who was abandoned by everybody. Would he be unafraid to face the charges and serve time? Would he refuse Biden's pardon in defiance? Would he once again call on his supporters to revolt? At the end of the Civil War, both President Lincoln and his successor President Johnson issued massive pardons to soldiers of the South in order to end hostilities, heal the wounds of war, and start Reconstruction. The pardon of Nixon, however, is considered to have cost Ford his presidential election. Carter challenged Ford and won the election on a promise to end Washington's political corruption. Ironically, Carter lost to Reagan, and it was believed to be related to his unconditional pardon of all draft evaders during the Vietnam War, including a future President Clinton. Some worry that prosecuting and trying Trump will lead to a South Koreanization, but former South Korean presidents who were convicted of crimes were all pardoned. What would be the political fallout if Biden were to pardon Trump, and if he wouldn't? Presidential pardons originated from the medieval English king's pardon and aimed to rectify possible judicial slips. The Constitutional Convention adopted the royal pardon to showcase the new federal republic's defiance against the British monarchy. The English king's pardon, however, was not unconstrained, nor is the presidential pardon, which only covers federal crimes and does not include impeachment charges. The Supreme Court has made it clear in numerous cases involving pardons, the president's pardon cannot exceed the letters and spirit of the Constitution. Some view Trump in a way behaving like some sort of self-styled monarch, a ruler who never admits fault all the same. What if Trump were to self-pardon? What would be the chances of receiving support from the Supreme Court? There is speculation that Trump always knew he would be indicted and convicted, so he prepared a self-pardon while still in office and stashed it away somewhere for a later day. There is one catch. The Constitution says that an impeached president can be prosecuted, tried, and punished. So, has Trump's incitement for the January 6th riot, for which he was impeached, already become an unpardonable criminal offense? The Constitution also stipulates that those who have sworn to defend the Constitution, if they participate in rebellion or aid the enemy, shall forever be disqualified from holding any public office. If Trump were to be charged with rebellion and had a pre-prepared presidential self-pardon, would it be rejected by every court? Would that be supported by public opinion? Would the Republican Party really come to his rescue? Would his followers resist and go to battle for him? What do you think? Share your thought or comment. Please subscribe if you like it. Thanks for watching and listening. See you next time.